Welcome to Espiritu Coffee Chats, the podcast where we blend wellness, spirituality, and business to help you live with intention and balance.
We're your hosts, Valerie and Arlene, two Latina entrepreneurs here to guide and grow with you. Welcome back to today's episode where we're talking about Vata season and Ayurveda. So another topic that Arlene is very knowledgeable about. So I'm really excited to dive in because we're approaching Vata season, or we're in Vata season, right?
We are in the middle of Pitta and Vata season.
The lovely transition.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to dive right in. So for people who are maybe not familiar with Ayurveda, can you explain what Vata season is?
Yes. Vata season comes from the philosophy of Ayurveda, and there are 3 doshas, and each of those doshas has 2 elements. So earth, wind, fire, water, air, space are the elements that Ayurveda really plays with. And so they break them up into 3 sub-archetypes. So you have Pitta dosha, Kapha dosha, and Vata dosha. So Vata dosha is made up of air and space. Pitta dosha is made up of fire and water. And then Kapha dosha is made up of earth and water. So some of them share water, some of them don't. But Vata, they are all also governed by seasons. So for example, we are currently so it's August over here where we're at. We're in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's like summer, but we're in transition into fall. So early fall all the way into, actually I take that back. It's like mid or late summer heading into fall. And then it's winter going into spring is all Vata season. Summer season is going to start when it's like, late spring. And then it starts late spring and then it goes all the way into that summer, fall, like late summer, fall. So pretty much think about the equinoxes. So Pitta season kind of starts, actually I take that back. Pitta season starts like in the summer, but we kind of lead up to it in that transition. So I would say May is like when you're in that transition. So right now we're in that transition between Pitta and Vata season because it's August. So we know that fall starts at the spring or the fall equinox. So that's also really important to understand. But for the most part, summer's Pitta season, fall is Vata season, and then Kapha season is going to be like that springtime. Vata also kind of runs into winter a little bit too. So there's like these bookends of the transitions of seasons. So we thought it would be really great to share an episode about Vata season because we're heading into that season and there's really great tips that Ayurveda gives us to really prepare our bodies, prepare our nervous system, prepare our mind. And so we definitely want to share that with y'all today.
I love it. What kinds of imbalances or symptoms do people usually notice during Vata season?
So it kind of starts now. You might feel some allergies coming away because the wind is going to start to kick up more. So Vata season is built from wind and space. So open space, and then there's that element of air. So there's a lot of space. So just think about the trees. When you start seeing the trees, and we live in California, we're in San Diego, so we don't really see all the seasons, but if you're in a state or even Northern California, you'll notice when the leaves start to fall. And they usually start to fall at around August, but they get really, really start to fall a lot starting September. So by the time you're in Vata season, it's probably like November. You're like hardcore in it. There ain't no leaves on the trees. That's the space. But the air is there to help move those leaves, clean up, right? So it kind of cleans things out. And so people tend to notice the allergies start to kick in. Because it's okay, the earth is naturally like kind of cleansing and preparing us for this winter season that's coming ahead. And so it needs to clear away, the leaves on the tree so that eventually new ones could sprout. And also, so that the tree, for example, could not give its energy anymore to the leaves because there's no sun anymore. The sun starts to go not as long, right? So the tree, as an example, needs to conserve its energy and just focus on its roots and the trunk. So that's kind of what Vata season asks us to do. It's like, how can we clear space? And then how can we just ground within? But you'll notice that you'll already start feeling these things coming like August, transitioning into September, because that's that transition into fall. So allergies start to kick in because the wind's going around and It's like pollen's getting kicked up, dirt, whatever. So that will come into play. You'll also be like that feeling of, I am so excited to put on my boots and my fall gear. I'm over the heat. Like, I'm so over it. Summer's been fast paced. I've been on vacation. I've been eating all the hot Cheetos, and like, I'm so over the like summer foods and the salads, and I want like more grounding stuff. I don't want, okay, ice cream's great, but I'm kind of over it now. So your taste buds even start to change. You're like, I'm over it. Let's get some grounding clothes on. And you already start to see it in the stores now. Yeah. There's already like, Halloween's already out and we're in August. So just think about it like that. That's how our bodies are. Our bodies are internally preparing for the next season, and it starts before the season even happens.
That's a perfect transition into, I think, like lifestyle and rituals. So for someone who's noticing that maybe they're feeling like scattered or anxious or restless, what are some daily rituals that can help ground them?
So the daily rituals are really important for Ayurveda. That's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Ayurveda, because they do focus on the lifestyle. That's like the most important thing. And it all starts with your gut, and it also starts with your nervous system. So Vata governs the large intestine. And then it also governs your nervous system. It governs your mind. So, going back to what are the rituals that we can do, it's a really great time to start a cleanse. So I personally love to do a cleanse around the fall equinox, because when you do cleanses, it helps your body clear out the old season. So helping clear out the mucus that you might get from Pitta season. Because remember, Pitta is made up of water and fire. So sometimes that can leave like excess heat in the body. So the idea is to kind of like release that heat with a nice cleanse and prepare for space to happen in the body. So a nice, cleanse. I like a khichdi cleanse. I've gotten Valerie onto that one. So a khichdi cleanse is great, but any type of detoxing cleanse is amazing to do right now. And that's also great because it's going to help you prepare for the winter, which is when we kind of have this like nice little fall sweet spot of where, our bodies aren't too cold. We're not with this aggressive weather. There's not a lot of wind chill. So your body can focus on just like you. But when it starts to get cold, your body has to focus on heating you up again, protecting your immune system. And so right now is a really good time between, I would say, we're in August. So maybe August to October, start thinking about doing a nice cleanse to get your immune system nice and ready for flu season. And also just to prepare, like I said, release the excess past season. Maybe you've had too many cocktails like I always do, or just that like summer food, and, start to focus on some grounding rituals as well. Because if you think about it, the kids are back in school. So there's that fast pace of kids are back in school. You're no longer don't have scheduled breaks, and maybe there's no more family vacations up until next summer. So since Vata governs the nervous system, there's a lot of things that you can do to help support that. And one of them is to do, it's called Abhyanga, it's a nice body massage that you do with certain kinds of oils. So you're going to want to look for a Vata dosha Abhyanga oil. You can find them on Amazon. I personally love Banyan Botanics. You can go to their website, support them directly. If that's too hard for you, then go to Amazon because they're on there. And it's made up of almond oil. So it's really important to understand what oil that you want to use. You can even just buy almond oil in the store. And basically, Abhyanga you lightly massage yourself. If people are familiar with a lymphatic drainage, it's kind of a similar type of thing. So you start at the bottom of your feet, and then you work your way up. And then once you get to your hips, then you start to work from like head down. So you can do this in the shower, and you slowly massage yourself. And the reason is you start up is because you want all of the toxins, and it's just a light little massage. Like you're literally just rubbing it in and like kind of stroking your leg. And then when you get to your digestive system, you go in a circular motion, because that's the pathways that your body clears. It's the lymphatic system. It's the way that your rivers work in your body. And then once you get to your stomach, then you start to go to the top of your head, and then you come to the arms, and then you work your way from the arms in upward strokes to your heart. Because you're trying to lead everything to the heart, because the heart's what pumps the lymphatic system, and it helps to get it into the drainage pathways. So that's really good to do, and it really balances the nervous system. I mean, thinking about oil into your skin, it absorbs into it. And there's also specific herbs, like if you get one that's specifically made for Vata dosha, there's herbs that absorb into your skin, and your skin's one of your biggest organs. So it's really important to understand what oil that you want to use. You can even just buy almond oil in the store. And it's really good to do, and it really balances the nervous system. I mean, thinking about oil into your skin, it absorbs into it. And there's also specific herbs, like if you get one that's specifically made for Vata dosha, there's herbs that absorb into your skin, and your skin's one of your biggest organs. So it's super easy for us to like absorb nutrients through our skin. And then it helps just ground that nervous system. It helps ground the Vata dosha. And people who are more predominantly Vata dosha, that means that you're basically kind of a go person naturally, super highly creative, always thinking. Sometimes you're more prone to worry, anxiety. So when Vata season comes around, that's going to be the heightened sense of feeling that you get. So for example, people who are predominantly Pitta dosha, they'll get more aggravated in the summer because it's hot outside. They're already fiery. So it's like their temperament isn't as calming as it would be in the winter because they're not dealing with the heat that's already in their environment. So Vata dosha, if you are predominantly a Vata dosha, this is your season to get everything nice and balanced. And then the other thing is grounding foods. So you're going to want to have some grounding, nourishing foods. So usually what balances Vata is the opposite dosha, which would be Kapha. And Pitta, a little bit of Pitta, but grounding foods that come from the earth to bring you back down. Because think about it, the season right now is like everything's all over. There's that space element, there's that air element. So everything's just transitioning really fast. So if you eat grounding foods, then you're going to be taking in that grounding energy from the earth, and that will help balance you and all of the subtle things that Vata dosha like really embodies. So grounding foods, so root vegetables, soups and stews, casseroles, but healthy casseroles. Also anything that takes away excess pitta from the summer. So you're going to want to work with greens that are like kale, Swiss chard, anything that's in season basically. Eat in season because that's specifically made for those doshas. So for example, that's all the soups and all that stuff because a lot of stuff's kind of starting to already die. So eating those like root vegetables, the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, those are all grown underground. So those are the foods that nature is giving us as a medicine to give us that grounding, nurturing energy, but also the minerals that are found in root vegetables are really supportive for Vata. A lot of the greens, they help support clearing out the liver from the season before. So focus on eating your greens, but specific greens that are in season. Like spinach is not in season in Vata season. It's in season in like Kapha and Pitta season. So you would want to focus on the ones that are a little more bitter in the fact that like the kales and Swiss chard, and that's usually what's grown in the winter. So yeah, some greens like those. Spices are really good. You can kind of invite a little bit of some spicy spices, like a little bit of cayenne here and there, paprika, but not too much, just a little, because that's going to help so Vata dosha has a hard time with keeping their body hot. So if you're a person who runs cold, then that's where I would invite you to bring in some warming spices. So like cumin, coriander, fennel, maybe a little bit of paprika here and there, cayenne powder. But keeping some really nice grounding spices is really good for you.
Some other spices we like to use are like cinnamon, ginger, a little bit of cardamom. Cardamom's kind of strong, but a little bit.
Yeah, like those types, you just put little dashes of things. Because if you've ever I've accidentally, my whole cinnamon like accidentally spilled all over one time, and I was like, "Oh, that's too much cinnamon." So, season accordingly. But yeah, think about like apple pie, right? Because apples are in season too, and just stewing them, and like some oats are Vata dosha too. Like things that are very grounding foods is what you're going to want to start to think about shopping for now versus when you're already like hardcore in the season. Teas also really nice. Starting to sip on teas because I know summertime I'm like, I am not drinking any tea. I can drink coffee, I don't know why, but I can't drink hot tea in the summer. So inviting in some teas and things like that.
Do you have any go-to daily rituals for Vata season?
Yeah, I would say Vata season because it governs the mind, and the mind is what really gets Vata dosha to get kind of thrown off in a sense. So what Vata dosha looks thrown off, it's, I'm leaving my house and I have 5 things in my hand. And I'm also leaving late. I'm like, I should already be wherever I'm at. So I'm rushing around. And then I like tripped over something and now everything just flies all in the air. And then I have to hurry up, scatter, pick up everything that's been scattered. And then during that scatteredness, you maybe didn't notice something that was off in the corner that you really needed. And then like when you get to your location, you're like, oh damn, I actually needed whatever it was that fell on the floor that I didn't see. So it's like the biggest advice is to take your time now. take time to go slow, pre-plan. So, maybe the night before, put things in your car just so that you're not in that scattered energy, because we are so relational to the earth and to its seasons that we lost that connection because we don't live outside anymore, right? We're inside. So we forget that we are in tune to nature. So if nature's over there cleaning up house and going all over the place, then that's going to also affect us, right? So it's just like taking time to slow things down, especially if you are already a Vata dosha. If you are, predominantly another dosha, maybe it's okay during this time for you, but usually everybody around this time kind of feels that like anxiety that, like I have this to do, have that to do, especially with holiday season. That doesn't really help with the whole running around and doing all the things and the parties and the friends and the gatherings. And then there's your personal life and then your work, right? Like it's all over. There's a lot of events usually that happens. So take this time to be like, actually, maybe I don't want to go to this many events this, fall coming into winter time. Because remember, Vata dosha truly starts at around the fall equinox, and then it goes all the way into February, maybe even like early March. So that whole time is, fall, winter. Oh, I'm sorry, not early fall. I mean, it goes all the way until maybe, like February. And then it starts to transition from winter to spring. So that is the time where there's a lot going on. Also, out of all the three doshas, we have them all in us. All of us will have them. We just have certain percentages of them. Like my kapha is barely there. And then Vata and Pitta are like 50-50. So whenever you are feeling out of balance, whether it's emotionally, whether you're dealing with like frustration all the time, that would be Pitta. Emotionally feeling like a little down and depressed, not really feeling like motivated, that's kapha. Usually Vata is the one that's going to imbalance the other two doshas. So if you can really balance out Vata, which is the nervous system, then the other two doshas don't get as aggravated or triggered. Then they're able to kind of self-soothe or do whatever it is that they need to do. So that's one thing to understand, that Vata will always act up. But when you're in Vata season, it doesn't. It just kind of adds more to it.
So how, if we find ourselves like in that space where like maybe our Vata is off balance and we're like feeling a little bit more like anxious, our nervous system is set off, how do we become a little bit more like mentally and emotionally grounded? Would it be that there's like the breath work that you do where it's like the
Nadi Shohana? Yeah, breath work actually. If you just do the Nadi Shohanas is when you do alternate nostril breathing and you balance out the two hemispheres. Because think about Vata. I said that it's air, right? It's space, it's wind. So if you invite that into your body, but you do it in a grounding practice, that will really help. Box breathing is really great for the nervous system. Ujjayi breathing is also really great for the nervous system. That's the one where you sound like Darth Vader. So you're breathing in and you're using your throat to like really create that noise, the back of the throat constriction. And then just the box breathing is that equal ratio breathing. And so that actually gives the mind something to focus on, because Vata has a hard time focusing. So that's why breath work that has some focus, you would think, oh, that sounds like they should just be like numbed out, not thinking about anything. But for Vata, that could be really hard because they get, thoughts are always coming in and out, and that can create anxiety. So when you give Vata time to focus, then it has that time to focus on whatever it is and not overanalyze, not think, not get too creative, right? Like it can sit there and focus on its task, and then it can start to calm itself down. So definitely breathing is really great. Walking meditations are nice because it keeps that movement. We remember Vata likes to keep energy flowing and moving. And even just laying there and resting, calendaring in those rest dates and then planning what you're going to do on those rest dates and just keeping yourself away from distractions. Even little things like putting your phone on do not disturb for an hour a day, just so you can get whatever tasks done, can be really helpful. Like Ayurveda is why I love it, because it's like, just work small, not big. So even if it just means you getting an hour of do not disturb on your phone and you being able to finish whatever your tasks are, will create more expansion and space in your mind for those now creative, fun thoughts that Vata has. Because Vata does govern creativity. It governs communication, governs like socializing, right? But if we're like using Vata in the wrong way and we're just task doing, we're having too much error, but we're not inviting space. So then that creates that imbalance. And then, yeah, whatever it is that grounds you, then even if that means getting out with your grounding friend, definitely do that.
Cool. Yeah. And something simple, like I know sometimes people, when we think of self-care, we think we need to go out and buy all of these things. But when Arlene says grounding, the box breathing, so like breathing in for a 3 count, holding it for a 3 count, exhaling for a 3 count, holding it for a 3 count. Like it's very simple things. You don't need money to do it.
Right. It's free.
Yeah. Taking your socks off and like touching grass if you can, if there are grassy areas around you. Is there any kind of like specific meditation or mantra that you like to go to for Vata season?
I would say, I mean, there's a lot of Ayurvedic ones out there. I can't think of any at the top of my mind, but definitely doing some like 3-word affirmations, nothing too big. You know, like I'm grounded, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm rooted. Like really focusing on grounding affirmations will be helpful for your mind because, like I said, it's all like Vatas love to live up in the mind and they like to live in all the realms, but to bring them down to earth is a little hard sometimes. So just making things very simple and easy and reminding them to, like you said, you know, taking your socks off, laying on the earth, laying on the ground too. Is like, these are all little small things that you can do, you know, inviting in those grounding foods. Like for example, staying away from smoothies. We know we all love them, but they're cold. So you're inviting that like non-grounding energy in. So yeah, into your day to day. So if you can just remember to eat like super grounding foods, especially in the morning, that would be great. The other thing I was going to say with Abhyanga, the massaging oil, is because, you know, Vata does govern the nervous system and also governs circulation. So one of the biggest keys you're going to want to remember is to cover your feet, to wear socks. Don't be wearing sandals in the fall or in the winter. Get your little Uggs out, put on your socks, keep your lower body warm, especially your feet, because that's going to help, you know, because we lose so much energy through our feet and our hands, through our extremities, that if we keep them warm, even our ears and the back of our neck are all things that Ayurveda recommends. They recommend your hands, your feet, and your ears and the back of your neck. And those are things like as it gets cold, right? We're talking about, you know, December, wherever you're at, whenever it starts to get freezing cold. Doing those things are also really helpful because it keeps your body's energy within and your body doesn't have to focus on reheating you up. And then the Abhyanga, like I said, just helps really get the flow moving and going and, you know, the circulation in the body going.
Beautiful. So as we get into Vata season, what are 2 to 3, like closing out the episode and having people have a takeaway, like what are 2 to 3 things people can do moving into Vata season and throughout it? So like the Abhyanga oil.
Abhyanga oil, eating your root vegetables, some soups and stews, like for food, some nice warming spices, some teas, that's food wise. And then doing your free like meditations. A really good one that is really great for Vata too is to look at the moonlight. That's free. It comes once a month for 2 to 3 days. And you can go outside and you can stare at the moon. Because the moon, like I said, it really does help balance that mind, but the eyes can focus on it, and remembering the focus is what really helps support Vata dosha. And then the moon cleans the pineal gland naturally with the blue light rays. And that's something that any time that you can do something that helps clear the mind is something that Ayurveda definitely recommends doing for Vata season. The other thing is another thing that is free for people to do is light up a candle and just stare at it. It's called, I'm forgetting something about distri, Distri, single focused. It's basically where you just look at one thing, but the candle light is nice because if you think about as the season progresses, we start to lose light. So if we can stare and focus at this warm flame, which is balancing for us during that time because of the season, and we focus on that, then that helps again, keep our brain nice and clear and focused and grounded and gives the mind a way to not be so like chattery and things like that. And keep in mind that Vata dosha governs the nervous system and it governs anxiety, worry, stress. That's the dosha that we would assign to that, right? To Vata. So if you're feeling any of those things, that's when you're going to want to go in the toolbox that we're giving you and bring out, whether it's food, whether it's, doing a meditation in all the free ways that we said, or it's just taking a day off, or maybe it's getting a little more, taking things off your plate and getting a little more focused on a routine. Those are all things to help and support you because it gets wild. And I feel like every Christmas I'm like, oh my God, I'm so depleted. And, but I myself know all these things too. But it's hard in our modern world to stick to it and stay focused.
Yeah, I think especially as not just individuals, but as entrepreneurs, as people with families, it's just all comes at us at once.
Right.
So going back to those grounding rituals is really nice. Yeah, I have been needing to get a new journal because I have 3 pages left. So I'm like, oh, let me go get a really nice journal that I can write in.
Yeah.
It's my little nice treat to myself.
Also, spiritually, Vata season is associated with death because things do clear away and it starts at around the equinox. So this is a great time, like I said, to detox, but also a great time to detox what is no longer serving you. This is the season for that. We have spring, who's there to help you rebirth and bring you back into renewal and what is it that you want and all these ideas, right? And then summer is there to put it into place and bring things into life, into fruition. And then we repeat the season coming back into the fall and winter where it's what needs to be released and let go so that we can hibernate, rejuvenate, so that when spring comes, we're all nice and ready to spring a seed forward. So that's now also remembering this is a great time to journal and really shed and, release, really focusing on the new moons and the full moons. Those are always nice reminders I like to tell people. So yeah, really focus on releasing things that no longer serve you. And then also tapping into spirituality because the veils of the both worlds start to thin at around the fall equinox all the way into the winter solstice. So this is a nice time to do that spiritual work, ancestral work, spirit guides, all the woo stuff, playing, Vata loves to do that because let's talk to all the people. So really also honoring the spiritual aspects of the season as well. This is the season where we're not we're not initiating, starting all kinds of things. I mean, it's great if you do, but also this is the season to shed and release and let go.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah. Great.
Me too. I'm ready for it. I'm so ready.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Arlene, for sharing with us about Vata season and all the things we can do. Yeah. Even just me talking about it right now, I'm like, oh, okay. This is great.
Yeah. Here's my prescription. I know. I'm let me just take my own prescription. Definitely share this with your Vata friend because, these are just tips and tricks that are nature gives us our medicine and we just forget about that sometimes. And I feel that's why I love Ayurveda. Because it's actually things aren't as complicated. Life is simple. Here's some quick tools, not that expensive. And, it's easy on the pocket, all the recommendations that we gave you.
Yeah. If you want the khichdi cleanse, Arlene has a recipe on her website too that you can go. There's all kinds of things on her website, lunasoulwellness.com. You'll probably see a couple videos of us doing it at some point.
Yeah. Oh, and we also have a podcast about the three doshas where we go a little bit deeper on each little archetype. So definitely, I don't remember what episode number that is. It's probably in the early ones. So just scroll through that one. If I can remember, I'll put it in the show notes till it's easy for you guys to find. But yeah, we will talk more about Ayurveda. There's so many things, but we just thought we'd kick off this Ayurveda season talking about Vata.
Yes. Yeah. So happy Vata season, everybody.
Vata season.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Espiritu Coffee Chats.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found a little inspiration to take with you.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more.
Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the coffee brewing. Cheers! Ow, ow, ow.